It looks harmless, just a can of soup, a cheap meal, a quick fix. But what if I told you that inside those metal walls isn't food, it's a slow poison? Every bite could be feeding disease, every spoonful carrying hidden chemicals you were never meant to swallow. Walmart sells millions of these cans every single day, but the truth, what's inside them could cost you far more than the low price on the label. Before we continue, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Comment below. It's the meal you turn to when you're tired, broke, or just craving comfort. Canned chicken noodle soup. The steam rises, the noodles look soft, the broth feels like home. But what if that comfort is actually betrayal in a bowl? Hidden inside is a tidal wave of sodium so strong it can send your blood pressure spiking after just one serving. Experts warn that one can of this innocent soup often contains more salt than your body needs in an entire day. Salt that doesn't just bloat you, it inflames your arteries, stiffens your blood vessels, and silently pushes you toward heart disease. And then there's the MSG. You won't see monosodium glutamate listed clearly. Instead, it hides behind vague labels like natural flavoring or yeast extract. These chemical flavor bombs trick your brain into craving more, while quietly overstimulating nerve cells. People report headaches, dizziness, brain fog, but the connection is rarely made, because who would suspect chicken noodle soup? But the betrayal doesn't stop there. The very can it comes in is part of the problem. Budget soups are still lined with BPA, a chemical known to mimic estrogen in the body. This endocrine disruptor doesn't just play games with your hormones. Studies have linked it to obesity, infertility, and even certain cancers. Every time that hot broth touches the lining, trace amounts seep into your comfort meal. And what about the chicken itself? You imagine hearty cuts simmered to perfection, but reality looks more like mechanically separated scraps, washed in chemical baths, then canned with preservatives to last years on a shelf. That's not nourishment. That's lab-processed slop dressed up with a friendly label. Now imagine feeding this to your child when they're sick. You think you're nurturing them back to health, but in truth you could be giving their developing body a cocktail of salt, chemicals, and synthetic hormones. What should heal may be quietly harming. It's marketed as warmth, as care, as tradition, but every spoonful is a whisper of inflammation, a slow burn inside your body that builds until something breaks. And if that doesn't make you rethink your pantry, wait until you see what's hiding in that can of sweet fruit cocktail. It looks so innocent, a rainbow of peaches, pears, and cherries floating in syrup. The label says light or no added sugar. It feels like a shortcut to health, a way to sneak fruit into your kid's diet. But here's the truth. That can isn't a fruit bowl. It's a sugar trap. Open the lid and you'll find more sweetness than a candy bar. That so-called light syrup is a marketing trick, a concentrated solution of high fructose corn syrup and refined sugars. One cup can pack more than 30 grams of sugar, enough to send a child's blood sugar soaring and crashing within an hour. Imagine sending your kid to school on that roller coaster, fidgety, irritable, unable to focus. And yet, parents are told this is a healthy snack, but the sugar is only the first betrayal. Most of these fruits are grown overseas, in orchards where pesticide laws are far weaker than ours. Apples sprayed with chemicals banned in the US end up in those cans. Pears ripened with growth hormones. Cherries treated with fungicides. And every one of those residues survives the journey, sitting quietly in syrup, waiting to be spooned into your bowl. Then there's the metal itself. Studies have shown that tin cans, especially when stored for months in warehouses, can leach heavy metals into the syrup: lead, aluminum, traces of cadmium. You won't taste them, you won't smell them, but they accumulate in your body over time, weakening your nervous system, dulling memory, even harming a child's developing brain. And let's not forget what processing does to the fruit itself. The natural vitamins, vitamin C, antioxidants, fiber, are stripped away during cooking. What's left is limp, syrup-soaked pulp with almost no nutritional value. You think you're feeding your body nourishment, but what you're really feeding is disease, insulin resistance, fatty liver, type 2 diabetes. This is why experts quietly warn that canned fruit is worse than soda in disguise. You wouldn't pour Coke over your oatmeal, But when you scoop peaches from a can, you're doing the same thing, feeding your cells with refined sugar water that accelerates aging, expands your waistline, and burns your energy from the inside out. And yet, Walmart shelves are stacked to the ceiling with these sugar bombs, their labels plastered with smiling fruit, promising health, hiding decay. But if you thought dessert fruit was bad, just wait until you see what they've done to something as simple as beans. You've been told beans are the healthy choice, protein-packed, fiber-rich, the heart of plant-based eating. But crack open a can of Walmart's refried beans, and what pours out isn't nourishment. It's a chemical-laden paste disguised as food. Let's start with the oil. You'd expect beans simmered in simple spices. Instead, many of these cans are cooked down in hydrogenated oils, the dreaded trans fats. These fats are so dangerous that some countries have outright banned them. They harden arteries, fuel heart disease, and shorten lifespans. Yet here, they still hide in your pantry, waiting to thicken your blood one spoonful at a time. And if you reach for the vegetarian version thinking you're avoiding lard, you're in for another betrayal. These aren't clean, plant-based alternatives. They're chemical substitutes, artificial fats engineered in labs, with residues linked to cancer and hormonal chaos. That green vegetarian label isn't protection, it's camouflage. But the real danger may not be the beans at all, it's the can they come in. Independent tests have shown higher than average aluminum levels in budget bean cans, especially those stored in hot warehouses. Every time you heat them, trace metals bleed into your meal. Aluminum doesn't just leave your system, it builds up silently in your brain tissue, and researchers have long connected it to memory loss and Alzheimer's disease. Then there's the digestive toll. People complain of bloating, cramps, and stomach distress after eating these beans, but they blame their body instead of the product. The truth is, those gut problems aren't just normal bean gas. They're a reaction to chemical residues, stabilizers, and oils your intestines were never designed to process. And think about this. Refried beans are often marketed as a staple for kids, a quick burrito, an easy dip, a healthy side dish. But what happens when a child's growing body is fed steady doses of aluminum, synthetic fats, and hidden trans fats? You don't just feed their hunger, you feed long-term damage, damage you won't see until it's too late. What's being sold as a humble, traditional food is nothing more than processed sludge engineered for shelf life, not human life. A betrayal of culture, a betrayal of health, and a betrayal of every family who trusted the label. Have you ever felt strange after eating something labeled safe? Tell us below. Your story could wake someone up, and if you think beans are shocking, wait until you uncover the truth about tuna, the so-called healthy fish that may be poisoning your brain. It's the can you trust, the one you toss into your cart thinking, at least this is healthy. Lean protein, omega-3s, a quick salad or sandwich. Canned tuna is marketed as a brain food, a heart food, a good food, but the truth is far darker. Inside that shiny lid waits a neurotoxin. Mercury. That's the word no one wants to say out loud. These ocean predators accumulate it in their flesh, and when you eat them, it goes straight into your bloodstream. One can of tuna can carry mercury levels high enough to interfere with memory, mood, and focus. Parents are warned to limit tuna for children and pregnant women, but those warnings are buried in fine print. Meanwhile, families keep serving tuna melts and casseroles, believing they're doing the right thing. But mercury is only the beginning. Open that can, and you're likely not even getting pure tuna. Many budget versions are cut with soy fillers, cheap protein that stretches the product but delivers none of the nutrition you're paying for. For those with allergies or hormonal issues, this hidden soy acts like a silent saboteur, disrupting the body's balance while the label hides behind vague wording like vegetable protein. And what about that friendly little dolphin logo, the one that makes you feel good about tossing it in your basket? Behind the marketing is an ugly truth. Dolphin safe doesn't mean ocean safe. Reports have long exposed how these fisheries rely on destructive methods, scooping up turtles, sharks, and entire schools of fish in the process. The cost of your can isn't just mercury in your blood, it's devastation in our oceans. Even the container itself joins the betrayal. Those cans are often lined with BPA and similar chemicals designed to prevent corrosion. But when fish oils mix with the lining, they can leach hormone-disrupting compounds right into your meal. You thought you were feeding your body clean protein. Instead, you're feeding it plastic chemistry. And then comes the bitter irony. Tuna is marketed as the brain food of busy families. But with mercury's direct link to cognitive decline, depression, and anxiety, what you're actually feeding is a foggy mind and a restless mood. The very food that's supposed to sharpen you may be dulling you from within. So next time you reach for that can, ask yourself, is this really the healthy choice? Or a Trojan horse of toxins? And if you think tuna is dangerous, brace yourself, because what's hiding in a simple can of spaghetti and meatballs will make your stomach turn. It looks like childhood comfort in a can. Soft pasta, tiny meatballs, tomato sauce that smells like nostalgia. Cheap, easy, filling. But peel back that lid and you're not opening a meal. You're opening a sodium bomb designed to overwhelm your body one bite at a time. One can of this spaghetti delivers nearly double the recommended daily salt intake. That's not seasoning. That's chemical warfare on your heart and kidneys. Your blood pressure doesn't just rise, it surges. Your arteries stiffen. Your body retains water like it's drowning from the inside. And the worst part, kids are the biggest consumers of this stuff, setting them up for lifelong hypertension before they even hit their teens. And those meatballs? Don't imagine ground beef like you'd make at home. These are scraps, trimmings, mechanically separated tissues, and filler proteins mashed together and flavored with artificial seasonings. In many cases, the meat isn't even entirely beef. It's imported cuts of questionable origin, treated with ammonia to kill bacteria, then disguised with artificial smoke flavor so you'll never know. But the deception doesn't end with the meat. That bright red sauce owes its color not to ripe tomatoes, but to synthetic dyes, some of which are banned in other countries because of their links to hyperactivity and behavioral issues in children. Imagine giving your child a bowl of this, thinking it's comfort food, only to find their mood spiral into tantrums and restlessness. That's not coincidence. That's chemistry. And let's talk about the sugar. Hidden in that sauce is enough refined sugar to rival a dessert. Combined with the salt, it creates a perfect storm, a dopamine surge that keeps you craving more while quietly inflaming your liver and expanding your waistline. This isn't dinner, it's addiction engineering. Now think about the marketing. Cartoonish fonts, bright labels, pictures of smiling kids. It's sold as a family-friendly meal, a shortcut for busy parents. But what's really being sold is a pipeline to obesity, diabetes, and early heart disease. The betrayal here isn't just in the can, it's in the way this food preys on trust, nostalgia, and convenience. So next time you crack open that familiar can of spaghetti and meatballs, remember, you're not serving dinner. You're serving disease in disguise. And if that doesn't make you push your plate away, wait until you hear what's simmering inside canned chili, a dish that hides even darker secrets. It's hearty, filling, and sold as real food for real people. Canned chili seems like the ultimate quick meal, protein-packed, warm, comforting. But behind that spicy aroma is a chemical cocktail you were never meant to eat. Start with the meat. You picture ground beef simmered with beans and spices. What you actually get is a blend of low-grade cuts, treated with ammonia washes to extend shelf life. These scraps are mixed with textured vegetable protein, a cheap filler made from soy sprayed with glyphosate, the very weed killer now linked to cancer and hormonal chaos. Every spoonful delivers not just chili, but pesticide residue cloaked in flavor. And then there's the preservation trick. To keep that meat looking pink and fresh, sodium nitrite is added, the same chemical used in hot dogs and processed deli meats. Scientists have long connected it to colon cancer, yet here it is, simmering in your chili, sold as if it were just another spice. But the chemical storm doesn't stop there. The sauce itself often contains artificial thickeners, yeast extract, and natural flavors, vague terms that hide MSG and chemical taste enhancers. These substances don't nourish you, they manipulate your brain, overstimulating receptors until you crave more. What you think is hunger is just chemical conditioning. And what does all of this do once it hits your gut? It doesn't fuel you, it sabotages you. The glyphosate-soaked fillers disrupt your gut microbiome, killing off the healthy bacteria that protect your immunity and keep your brain chemistry stable. People report brain fog, fatigue, even mood swings after eating processed chili, but few ever connect the dots. And here's the cruel irony. Chili is supposed to be a comfort food, something you gather around with family, a dish tied to warmth and tradition. But the canned version sold on Walmart shelves isn't comfort, it's corrosion. Corrosion of your body, corrosion of your trust. So ask yourself this, is a quick, cheap meal worth a lifetime of hidden damage? Because if chili shocked you, what comes next will devastate you. A side dish that looks like nostalgia on a plate, but hides the fingerprints of chemical farming and corporate deceit. If this shocked you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this and subscribe. Your awareness could save lives. And now, let's pull back the curtain on canned creamed corn, the childhood classic that's quietly been weaponized. It looks harmless. Golden kernels, soft and sweet, swimming in a creamy sauce that reminds you of grandma's kitchen. Canned creamed corn has been sold as a side dish of comfort for generations. But today's version isn't the food you remember. It's been twisted, manipulated, and engineered into something that feeds disease more than it feeds families. Let's start with the cream. You'd think it's just mashed corn with a touch of milk. But in many of Walmart's budget cans, that cream is nothing more than thickened GMO cornstarch, sugar, and artificial flavoring. They stretch the product, water it down, and then rebuild it in the lab. What you're eating isn't creamed corn, it's restructured sludge. And those kernels, they aren't the wholesome, sun-ripened ears you picture. Most are harvested from genetically modified corn, sprayed with glyphosate and other pesticides that linger long after harvest. Independent tests have found residue of these chemicals inside canned corn products, chemicals linked to cancer, fertility issues, and gut disruption. Every spoonful may carry the fingerprint of factory farming's most toxic practices. But the deception goes even deeper. Many cans hide added sugars, sometimes under innocent names like maltodextrin or dextrose. One serving can cause blood sugar to spike and crash, leaving you tired, irritable, and craving more. And for children, those spikes aren't just about energy. They feed behavioral problems, mood swings, and difficulty focusing in school. The gut doesn't escape unscathed either. GMO starches and chemical residues feed inflammation, bloating, and intestinal distress. People think they're reacting to corn itself, when in truth they're reacting to the poisons wrapped around it. And what about the label? That friendly farm logo, the golden fields, the smiling family, pure manipulation. It's nostalgia packaged for profit. The truth is, most of this corn comes from industrial farms that strip the soil, pollute waterways, and rely on forced seasonal labor. That image of purity is a lie, a mask hiding exploitation and chemical dependency. So while you think you're serving a safe, simple side dish, what you're really opening is a chemical-laced betrayal dressed in yellow. And if you thought corn was safe, brace yourself. Because even soups labeled healthy, lentil, vegetable, the ones you trust most, carry their own poisonous secrets. This is the one that cuts deepest. Because if there's any canned food you thought you could trust, it's the one stamped with words like heart healthy, low fat, or vegetarian goodness. Lentil soup, vegetable soup, the so-called clean option. But behind those wholesome labels lies one of the biggest betrayals of all. Take a closer look at the ingredient list. You'll find yeast extract or natural flavors. Sounds harmless, right? But those are industry code words, camouflage for MSG and its chemical cousins. These hidden additives hijack your taste buds, forcing your brain to crave more while overloading your nervous system. Ever feel jittery, foggy, or strangely hungry again after a healthy canned soup? That's not your imagination. That's chemical manipulation at work. And then there's the can itself. Despite health claims, most of these soups are packaged in BPA-lined containers. When heated, those chemicals don't just sit there, they leach into your soup. BPA is a known endocrine disruptor, mimicking estrogen in the body. That means hormone chaos, mood swings, weight gain, fertility struggles. It's marketed as wellness, but it's literally destabilizing your system from the inside out. The vegetables inside aren't much safer. They're often sourced from industrial farms using pesticides banned in other countries. By the time they're cooked, processed, and canned, most of their vitamins are destroyed. What's left is a dull, lifeless pulp, bolstered by synthetic flavor enhancers. And yet, the can will proudly claim, packed with nutrients. Packed, yes, but not the ones your body needs. Even the lentils and beans are suspect. Many are pre-soaked in chemical solutions to speed processing, leaving residues that irritate digestion and fuel inflammation. That comforting bowl of fiber may actually be feeding bloating, cramps, and gut imbalance. The cruelest twist? These soups are sold to people who are trying to do the right thing, the parent reaching for something healthy, the elderly shopper looking for low-sodium nourishment, the dieter searching for a clean option. They're not just being sold soup, they're being sold lies, manipulation, and a sense of false safety. This isn't health food. This is betrayal in a can. So when you see that comforting label whispering healthy choice, remember, what's inside may be doing the very opposite. Which item hit you the hardest today? Drop the number in the comments. We're watching the replies closely. And if you think the soup betrayal is bad, wait until you see the final act. A fruit so soft, so sweet, so innocent. Poisoned before it ever reaches your spoon. They look like the safest fruit of all. Soft, golden, dripping with sweetness. A symbol of summer, of innocence, of childhood treats. But open a can of peaches from Walmart, and you'll discover something rotten hiding beneath the syrupy glow. Let's start with the skin. Unlike fresh peaches you'd peel yourself, canned peaches often keep their fuzzy exterior intact. That fuzz holds onto pesticides long after harvest, chemicals designed to kill insects, now trapped in syrup for you to swallow. Residues of fungicides, growth regulators, and chemical sprays cling to every bite, and no amount of canning washes them away. And then there's the syrup itself. Even when the label boldly declares no sugar added, many cans hide high fructose corn syrup, glucose, and artificial sweeteners under vague names like fruit juice concentrate. The trick works because it sounds natural, but in reality it floods your bloodstream with sugar. For a child, one serving can overload the liver, sparking fatty deposits that set the stage for early onset diabetes. Imagine thinking you're giving your kid fruit, when in truth, you're feeding them the very disease you fear. But it doesn't stop with sugar. The can, once again, plays its part in the betrayal. Stored for months, even years, in hot warehouses, the metal lining can leach harmful compounds like BPA and tin into the syrup. These don't just vanish. They accumulate in your body, interfering with hormones, weakening immunity, and quietly aging your cells. And the fruit itself? By the time it's processed, heated, and sealed, most of its nutrients are long gone. What's left is mushy pulp with a chemical aftertaste, an empty promise masquerading as health. The vibrant antioxidants of a fresh peach? Destroyed. The vitamin C your body craves? Gone. What you're left with is sugar-soaked filler, a husk of what fruit should be. The cruelest part is how it's sold. Bright labels with dew-kissed peaches, the illusion of freshness, the comforting idea of farm-to-table goodness. But in reality, it's pesticide-laden fruit boiled in syrup, stripped of nutrients and laced with chemicals. A smiling lie, stacked high on Walmart shelves, waiting for families to take home. So the next time you crack open a can of peaches, remember, you're not eating summer sunshine. You're swallowing poison disguised as sweetness. Because in the end, these cans aren't food at all. They're betrayal sealed in metal, marketed as nourishment, and consumed in trust. And that trust is the deadliest ingredient of all.